You know, it's not that hard to become an art collector. You just have to know where to go. We all know that 99.9% of the world doesn't know anything about the art. And I'm not talking about crazy, stupid art, art that's overpriced, is perverted and weird, And if we look at it, even Picasso is pretty weird, most of his artworks. He made 20,000 artworks, by the way. So where do you start as an art collector to build up your wealth in a very significant way? Because the weirdest thing is, art doesn't really go down. It always goes up. I mean, there's phases where it stagnates, or if you overpaid for an artwork, that's not a good idea too. And then you don't want to buy artworks that are not, that do not have some promise, so to speak. Quality original artworks, and I'm not talking about your neighbor who is just playing around, or a neighbor's kid who is just playing around. That might be a possibility in rare cases. But in general, when we talk about collecting art, we're talking about really people who take it seriously, who really take art serious in the way that's their career, that's their objective. They love art. They love to create art. So those are the artists that you want that are also in the spotlight to some extent, that maybe have expositions, that are present on the internet, that have headlines here and there, where other collectors maybe comment on it, that purchase their artworks. You don't want to go to any Dick and Harry on the street and just buy whatever they painted, in the parking lot of a grocery store. That's usually not going to work because it's a copy or replica of something, and it's not an original artwork. You want an original artwork. You don't want somebody copying a Rembrandt or a Van Gogh or whatever else. That's nice. That's decorative art, and if you need to have that, all right, it's nice to look at. But if you're serious about making money in art, it's like this. You have to find good artists. And where can you find them? Today we have scherf.com, for instance, a place for the world's premier place for emerging artists right now, scherf.com. Then you have other sites, that comment on auctions about artists. Some are overpriced on the auctions. You can tell that some people call, for instance, a limited edition where there's 1,000 of them or 500 of them. They call it a limited edition. I disagree on that. That's not longer a limited edition. That's like a commercial replication process, and people are paying thousands and thousands of dollars for each of those limited edition works, and sometimes they're on paper. They're not even on anything meaningful. Some already are on acrylic at least, and that looks cool. But in our day and age, paper was hundreds of years ago. Today, we're not looking for paper when it comes to limited editions, but we're looking for, I prefer aluminum. Our artworks are aluminum. They are scratch resistant, they are fade resistant, they're waterproof, they last very long, they are very lightweight, and they can be hung everywhere, and they look good. They're like floating on the wall. You can put a frame around it extra, but they usually have a float frame in the back, so it's like floating in the back on the wall. So it looks really. Now, original artworks, if they're still on canvas, that's still good. They should have structure, not just paint. I always it looks weird to me. You get a canvas and they just put paint on it, and it's a nice picture, and people should appreciate that. Okay, that may work for some. I like structure in it, if it's with oil or acrylic. In our original artworks that I painted, we use wax as a backdrop so that we can have a raised 3D type of effect, so that there's structure in it and there's glue and different things like that. So that's what you want to look for in an artwork, not just paint on a flat canvas, very flat, the whole thing. There should be structure in it. For me, that makes it more of an interesting artwork. Now, if you're looking for original artwork where there's just a painting, for instance, so you still can go with the canvas, of course. But there you want to go also with size, 2.5 feet by 3 feet or 4 feet, something like that, meaning anywhere from around 30 to 40 inches. That size, at least. Maybe 36 to 48 inches, or even up to 60 inches, the longest length. So you want a significant artwork, not something 14 by 14 or 12 by 16 or below 20 inches or something. That's a little weird, you know. So you want, if you buy an original artwork, which often costs in our day and age from an interesting artist, will cost many thousands of dollars. You're paying 10, 20, $30,000 for artworks like that. If you're getting some for a few $100, you know, okay, that's a long shot. But that's not planned art collecting. Art collecting, of course, is about beauty. You have to buy what you like. But on the other hand, there's the commercial aspect. You also want to buy something that has potential, right? A quote-unquote less expensive way, or a rather inexpensive way, is to go into art photography. You know, we all know Andy Warhol, or we know a Gursky, or in our day and age we know Peter Lik, you know, and lots of artists that create nice pictures. But we, in that segment, instead of landscape and things like that, which could be nice, we want the little twist of either pop art or art photography, simply art photography. And if we go that direction, there's ways to purchase those things inexpensively. The original of an art photography, you know, they're all, quote unquote, there's an original, and that's usually the big size, will cost a lot more than, for instance, a limited edition. When I talk about limited editions, maybe of 25, max 100, but usually 25, 50. I like 25 max, you know, as a limited edition. That would be awesome. And that's a little bit small in size. Maybe it's a 24 by 36 or something like that, or 30 by 40. You know, it doesn't have to be the big one, 36 by 48 or 40 by 60 or something like that, because many walls don't, it's not even possible to put that on a wall. So if you're collecting, you want to stay in a certain size format too. You know, you don't want to go too gigantic, and you don't need to spend that money. So just buy the limited edition, which might be available for $2,000. And I'm not saying on paper. You know, I personally don't really like paper anymore in our day and age. We have to go with, for instance, like I said, high glossy, high museum quality, lustrous aluminum. Looks phenomenal, or even if it's matte aluminum. And doesn't mean the aluminum shines through. We always, like on our artworks, we have a white backing to it so that the colors really come out. So no aluminum shines through it. Aluminum is only where it's on, the medium where it's on there. You know, acrylic was very good too 20 years ago, and even 10, 15 years ago. People wedged it between acrylic sheets, and they put the paper between acrylic sheets, and then you get a very good effect, especially with the Fuji crystal paper, you know, but it's paper in between those acrylics, which is nice too. But that's where what you want to look out for. You don't want to just buy a print that's on paper. You know, it could be good. You know, if it's a well-known name, it still could do millions of dollars over centuries, and usually we don't live that long. But if you want to look forward to decades, you know, Sherman, the pictures like that are very interesting. You know, you can buy them at some point from an artist who does that, or Annie Leibovitz. You know, you can buy hers. She has limited editions of 25. And ours, of course, we want to always include ours. We don't have many limited editions. We generally only have originals, and we're thinking about issuing limited editions because many people are asking us, and our originals have soared in price so much. And, you know, even the originals that are big, 3 by 4 foot, the ones from 2015, 2016, and now into 2017, often they are 3 foot by 4 foot, 36 by 48, and they're sometimes already costing $20,000, $30,000, even though whenever they are issued and published, they are below 10,000 still. But at this time, but a limited edition we can bring out a little smaller format, still 30 by 40 or 24 by 36 or something like that, and it can only 25 of them, and you can get them for $1,000 or less. And imagine you can buy 5 or 6 or 7 and see of those artworks and see how they appreciate over the years. Then they come to auctions, and that's where we see the real pricing and the dynamic, aside from the fact you only buy what you really like. Just saying, collecting art is fun. It's something beautiful, and it's creative, you know, because we see the creativity of an artist. It may inspire us to be creative too. So becoming an art collector is quite an interesting part, and knowing that 0.1% of the world might be interested in art or collecting art or even be in that sphere, and 99.9% don't know anything about it or don't care about it. That's why we have billions of empty walls in the US, all around the world. There's billions of empty walls, which could all be, I don't want to use the term decorated, but which could all feature beautiful art, creative work. And again, on limited editions, I'm saying don't buy something that has 500, 1,000 limited editions. I know there's artists in the past, even in the 70s and 80s, they did 10,000, a lithograph, in different colors, but makes no sense, and they charge a lot of money. I like stuff that's rare, It's okay to get something that has only 25 around, and maybe from the 25 only 20 in circulation in reality. They may not have sold all, or some are going into private collections that will never be seen for the next 50, 60 years, which is sad, but that's a way how the art business works. So thank you so much for today, for your time, and please check out our website, scherf.com, scherf.com, and maybe you like some of our hundreds of beautiful artworks too, and maybe there's one or the other that fits exactly, speaks to you emotionally, and has a message that you like, because when we put out an artwork, it really has to have something to do in their emotions. It should produce a very positive emotion. Like I said, we don't like perverted art, shock art, and strange art, and all those things. They call it art, we don't like that. We like beautiful things, We like God's creation and things, and yeah, sure, sometimes goofy stuff. And because lots of being an artist is also experimentation, what will work. And recently we've done many in the last few years, art photography. And it's very interesting what comes out of the camera and what is produced there without using software or things like that, other than contrast, brightness, and little things like that. But nothing to go crazy on digital stuff and things like that to distort things. But keep it from the nature where it is, or from an object, and just let that interpret itself and create the emotion. If you like any advice or hints and tips and whatever, just email us, ds@scherf.com, and we'll get back to you as we can. We have a lot of things to do, but we try to answer emails really fast. And just send us your questions, how to get started in art collecting, and maybe we can, maybe our advice is helpful in one way or the other. But once you get into it, you will see, you just discover so many new things, It's completely different than the job 9 to 5 and things like that. It's like an interesting area, a hobby, something that can be really beautiful in your life. Thank you so much.